When you think of Saudi Arabia, you probably think of two things, right? Oil and just immense wealth. But here's the thing, behind all that glitz is an absolutely massive existential problem. In this project we're going to talk about, one of the most ambitious on the entire planet is their attempt to solve it.
Okay, so let me ask you something. Can a river flow uphill? I mean, it sounds impossible, doesn't it? It feels like it breaks the fundamental laws of physics. But that question, that riddle, is right at the very heart of how an entire kingdom is trying to engineer its own survival. And the answer, well, it's pretty mind-blowing.
And this really gets to the core paradox of the whole situation. Imagine for a second that you own a palace made of solid gold, but you've only got 2 sips of water to drink. That, in a nutshell, is Saudi Arabia, a nation that is literally overflowing with one liquid resource while desperately lacking the one that actually matters for life.
So to really get a handle on the scale of their solution, you first have to understand the scale of their problem. We are talking about a kingdom that is fundamentally at odds with its own environment.
Yeah, and when you look at the numbers, it's just staggering. This isn't just a dry country. It's the largest country on Earth without a single permanent river. 0. 98% of the place is desert. And on top of all that, while the landscape hasn't changed, the population has just exploded, putting this unbelievable pressure on a water supply that basically doesn't exist.
So you're probably asking, if there are no rivers, where on earth were they getting their water from for all those decades? Well, they were tapping into this secret, hidden, ancient treasure. But, and this is a big but, that solution just ended up creating a whole new, terrifying crisis.
You see, they were drilling deep into the Earth for something called fossil water. And this definition right here just nails it. Think of it like a battery, one that you can use one time, and then it's dead forever. You can never, ever recharge it. It's a one-time gift from the planet's ancient past.
And this is where things really started to spiral out of control. Back in the 70s, they had this noble idea of becoming self-sufficient in food, so they decided to start growing wheat in the desert. And it actually worked, but the whole project was powered by that unrechargeable battery of fossil water. Then, in 2016, NASA satellites basically delivered the bad news, revealing this terrifying reality. They were draining this ancient resource at a totally apocalyptic rate. How fast? Get this, 2 trillion liters of this ancient water every single year. That's a number that's almost impossible to wrap your head around. So they were facing a choice, a really stark one. Either stop the farming or literally run out of water completely. They chose to stop.
Okay, so the ancient water was a bust. They had to pivot. And where do you go for water when you're a desert kingdom surrounded by the sea? You go to the ocean. And this is where the story goes from desperate to, well, almost unbelievable.
Just to give you a sense of scale here, check this out. We all know the Nile River, right? The longest natural river in the entire world. It's legendary. Well, this new artificial river, this network of pipes, is nearly double that length. It's just insane.
And we're not talking about some little pipe in the ground here. This is a full-on, man-made river system buried deep underground so the scorching desert sun doesn't just evaporate it all away. And remember our question from the beginning about a river flowing uphill? Well, this is how they do it. With these absolutely massive pumping stations that use up 9% of the entire country's electricity just to fight gravity and push water up to cities and the mountains.
So where's all this water coming from? Well, it starts as seawater, and they basically use 2 main tricks to make it fresh. The first one is basically the brute force method. You just boil massive amounts of seawater. But the real game changer is this tech called reverse osmosis. It's incredible. It uses insane pressure to literally squeeze water through a filter so tiny that nothing, not salt, not minerals, not even a virus can get through. And what's the result of all this mind-boggling engineering? Look at this. Today, two-thirds of all the fresh water used in the entire kingdom started out as salt water in an ocean. They have literally manufactured their own water supply from scratch.
But you knew there was a but coming, didn't you? This incredible solution comes with an equally incredible cost. There's a dark side to this story, a conflict that's playing out completely out of sight, just beneath the waves. It's such a simple question, but one with a truly staggering answer. You're taking billions of liters of water from the sea and making it pure. But what happens to all the salt you took out? Where does all of that stuff go? The answer is 329,000 tons of this super concentrated, salty, chemical-filled sludge called brine. And that's not per year or per month, that's every single day. To even try and make that number feel real, picture the heaviest animal on Earth, the blue whale. This daily salt waste weighs more than 1,600 of them. Every day. Just let that sink in for a moment.
And for a long time, the solution was just to dump it all right back into the sea. But this brine, it's hotter and way saltier than the ocean. It sinks to the seabed and just creates these dead zones, killing coral reefs and absolutely devastating the local marine ecosystem. It is the invisible threat, the hidden price tag for making fresh water.
So what's the next chapter? Well, they know this is a huge problem. And just like they tried to engineer their way into having water, they're now trying to innovate their way out of the environmental mess they've created.
And they have this two-part plan. First, instead of just dumping the brine near the coast, they're developing these complex diffusers to spread it out safely in the deep ocean. But the even more exciting part is something called brine mining. The idea is to treat this toxic waste like a resource and actually extract valuable minerals from it, basically turning a poison into a product.
And you got to understand, this whole project isn't just about having water to drink. It is the absolute cornerstone of their huge national plan called Vision 2030. The goal is to use this manufactured water security to become a world leader in water tech, to finally make their dream of desert agriculture sustainable, and at the end of the day, to build a future where they are no longer dependent on oil. And if you want one single fact that captures the sheer audacity of this whole ambition, it's this. In 2027, the world's premier conference on water is going to be hosted by the largest country on Earth that has no rivers of its own. I mean, that is a statement.
So what are we really looking at here? Saudi Arabia is fundamentally rewriting the rulebook on humanity's relationship with water, but it leaves us all with this massive question. Is this a brilliant, necessary blueprint for a thirsty planet that we'll all have to follow one day? Or is it a chilling cautionary tale about the immense and maybe hidden price of trying to bend nature to our will?